Ravens, and joining you this afternoon is Stuart Bond.
Drag racing, Australia's largest spectator motorsport, is a sport that is growing not only in spectator size, but also in the number of drivers competing at each event.
And here at Ravenswood International Raceway, we have some of the fastest and quickest race vehicles the nation has to offer. Today we're in for a real treat as we present part one of the Performance Direct Nitro double header.
And the racing will be round two of the Australian Top Bike Championships, brought to us by Powerhouse Performance. Brett Stevens on his awesome Overkill Harley Davidson, a two-cylinder motorcycle, and it is nitro-fueled. Top Bike is open to nitro-fueled, nitrous oxide-assisted, supercharged and naturally aspirated motorbikes, and the excitement is very, very hot. Racers are competing to earn points for the Australian Championships, and the West Australian round has become the most important to win.
Let's start with the four-wheel action in Supercomp round one, and out on the track right now, Errol Quartermain and Ian John.
Well, it's like David and Goliath, Frank. You've got a little tiny 191 cubic inch Ford six-cylinder in the Tirana. A Ford in a Holden upsets people, but nowhere near as much as a 500 cubic inch General Motors Oldsmobile in that beautiful Falcon.
Ian John's coming off a great last season. Errol Quartermain very keen to do well in this race. This is round one of Supercomp, and inside the cockpit with Ian Johns looking very relaxed, making sure that he's okay.
Well, Ian Johns would have the big chase right now. Errol Quartermain needs to get out first. They'll look close away from the tree. It'll be critical at the top end of the track. Johnsy's got him by a car length at half track, fighting very, very hard. It looks like Ian Johns may be slowing, and Errol Quartermain rounds him up and gets to him with an 861. It's unbelievable.
How close is this? Let's have a look at the replay. Oh, Bobby, not much in it.
I think Ian Johns had a little bit of a relax at the top end and opened the door for Errol.
Mark Barnett with a big, strong burnout.
And Graham Sims with the baby mouse motor in the Toyota Supra. A little tiny engine in Graham Sims's car, but it is well under the national record and is going to be the big threat this season.
Oh, a good shot inside the office there from Mark Bennett. You can see what all the action is. Simo backing up. You notice the radio communications on Graham Sims's crew. That is crew to driver, and that is very, very important for this team.
Well, it must be very reassuring not only to see that you're in the right spot, getting the most traction, but being told by the crew that everything is okay around the car. No leaks, no problems. The car is staged, and it's now the driver's race. Sims with the chase. Can he catch the very, very quick Camira?
Bennett comes out very fast indeed. Simo's trying to come back at him, but Mark Bennett's going to get there with a 9:44 at 227 k's.
Stacey, a turbocharged rotary, a serious screamer in the Mazda. And alongside him, the master of understatement, the #1 plate holder for Australia, Steve Flynn.
Terry Stacey on screen, the man that won the last meeting here at Ravenswood, would be anxious to continue that winning form, but he's got a tough one in Steve Flynn, as Stewie Bond said, the #1 plate holder.
Two very different cars, and when you watch the crowd looking at this race, they're going to be separated 50-50. The ladies love the Mazda, and the guys love the big V8 Commodore.
Lots of concentration on Flynn's face as he came in there. Both these boys would be anxious to win this round one. The tree starts to count down. Oh, Stacey's come out on a red light. Not too good for him. Flynn's come off the power. He's seen the red light. Stacey's still going for it. It's going to be a good pass. Terry's going to find out what the car will do. And he gets to the top end. Second, but would you believe, with a good run.
Jeffrey Chasey and Phil Purser, two G gases, but two very, very different cars. Purser racing a Holden-powered Tirana, and a small block Chevy is the engine of choice for Jeff Chasey in the Commodore.
Jeff Chasey's car, brand new at the track, and is absolutely superb, and he will be very keen to do well here. This car looks a treat and goes well. Both vehicles lined up. Three counts down, they come out. Both on clean green. Chasey looks like he's got him, but Purser's fighting back down the outside, Stu.
It looked like he might have snuck around in front about 200 metres out, but Chasey takes the win, and it's a good one for him. Just look how close these vehicles are. A three-quarter track, it looked like it could be anyone's race, but Chasey holds on with a little more horsepower.
Stewie, the machines have all come between Nitro motorcycles, and it's all the action here at the track.
The top bike we enjoy today has grown from a class in the 1960s that was dominated by automobile-powered motorcycles. The most popular engine in a top bike way back then was a Volkswagen, would you believe? And now we have a tremendous choice.
Stewie, the Jack Daniels team has been from Queensland, and everywhere they go across Australia, they certainly draw a big crowd.
This motorcycle is state-of-the-art. It has a Jim McClure-built side-by-side twin-cylinder nitro-fueled fuel injection motorcycle engine. If you look at some of the other bikes in the field, we've got a turbo Kawasaki, we've got a supercharged nitro-fueled Kawasaki, and here's single on his Harley-Davidson, also fueled by nitromethane.
A big crowd here in attendance to watch the Western Australians to see if they can do well. Peter Tom on screen there on Steve Murray's bike, and this one is a burster.
Well, a tremendous day for them. 2 new personal bests, and we met them in the pits. It must be pretty hard for you to continue development on the machine. I know you've got a frame part built. Motivation's a bit lacking.
Well, there's been plenty of motivation, Stuart, but it's a bit hard when the meeting's, only once a year. But we're wrapped today. We ran that 790 off the trial. We'll try a bit harder and we'll see how we go from there.
Now, do you think the old frame, and this bike has been around for quite some time, is going to hold back the development you've done on the engine over the winter?
Oh, possibly. The tyre will be the hold back, not the frame. It's more the tyre size.
So the new frame is built to put a bigger tyre in the back to stick it to the track a bit harder.
That's it. The new one's got a 14 by 32 in it, so you don't get much bigger than that.
Pedro finally getting a reward with a 7-second lap and a nice wheelie at half track. I guess it's going to be an exciting afternoon for you, Pedro.
Yeah, a lot of fun, Stu. I've been looking forward to it for a while. Get a few cobwebs out.
Now, your experience has been on everything from a mod bike and a street bike up to a twin turbo. How does a nitro bike compare with the softness of the turbo bike?
This one's actually screams a little bit softer to ride than a normal sort of 3 or 5 speed gearbox type bike. They're a lot more savage. Whereas this type of thing with a slider clutch and only a 2-speed, it's a lot more gentle. It comes on stronger, but it's a lot more predictable most of the time.
Coming at you after the break, all the top bike action. Huge crowd here at Raven. Really loved it.
Brett Stevens is hot from Eastern Creek. You raced over there 2 weeks ago. It wasn't a great meeting for you. You didn't get into the finals, but there were some positives from that race.
Yeah, we went out in the first round, but we've had a problem for the last year blowing the front plug lead off the bike. Between seasons, we found it. There was a small cracker in the front head, which was leaking exhaust to get through and popping the plug lead off. So we fixed that. We ran 4 7-second passes, which I was happy with. We found another problem. The clutch was just too old and worn out, so I just ordered some new parts from the States, and it's just turned up. Put it in the bike yesterday, and it was our first pass with a new clutch. Unfortunately, the clutch changes everything. We got a good fuel system set up in Sydney where we tip both plugs perfectly. Now we put a clutch in it, and it's going to bite harder. It's going to burn more fuel. So I've got to work on a new clutch tune-up and a new fuel tune-up all at the same time, and we might hit or miss at the moment.
Well, Brett Stevens certainly thinking about the job he's got with her, Stu, and it is a big job.
Well, the Jack Daniels team with a lot of work. They need to get the bike back to its 720 form, and consistency will be the key. The number 1 plate holder at the moment is Bruce Barnett, a Jack Daniels rider recently retired. The number 2 plate holder's there right now. How quick do you think this bike will go? We're going to see a team from it?
Yeah, we've run a 7.20 before as the quickest I've been in Melbourne, and I think we should. And we've had this clutch problem for the last 3 meetings probably, and I finally worked it out of what it was doing. And it's just a simple little thing, but we're overlooking it, I think that we should. Yeah, I think it'll run a 10. I wouldn't be surprised if this bike will run a 7.0.
Well, a 7.0 would certainly be exciting for Jeff Smith. That would make him the fastest all-Harley in Australia. Side by side right now. Brett Stevens on the later kill. Jeff is on the Harley, and they are trying as hard as they can to get a good lap in. Stevens dragging the pipes down the track, running a 7.91.
Well, Stevens leaning right off the bike there, Stu, trying to get it back on track. You watch the spark from the header pipes.
Brett's a big boy. You can see him climbing off the bike, trying to keep the bike upright. A tough ride for him, dragging the headers down the track. West Australia's Ian Ashelford has a chance to qualify. And a good, strong burnout from the local racer.
The bike sounding very strong indeed. His competition, Steve Kitchen.
Well, Steve Kitchen's bike, very different. A turbo Kawasaki. with Queensland racer Steve Kitchen, and you're the dark horse in the field. Everyone else is beating things up with nitro, and you've gone with a bit of intelligence and turbo. Does that put you at an advantage or a disadvantage, Steve?
An advantage. Yeah, we've doesn't cost as much. We produce nearly as much horsepower as them, and we're a lot lighter weight, except for me, of course. But yeah, I think it's an advantage. You know, nitro is pretty tricky to run, sort of fuel, and a lot of preparation and all the procedures you've got to go through to run nitro. I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore.
The diversity seems to add something to the texture of top bikes. As long as there's a lot of bikes racing out there, it doesn't matter how different they are, they're all great races to watch.
Yeah, I think it's all, you know, they're all high-powered machines, and it's a great fun to be with everyone. They're all a good lot of people, and it's good to travel around with them.
Well, Steve's bike not sounding too healthy, but in the other lane, Ian Ashelford, his bike sounding sweet.
You probably won't mind me saying that your 750s won't be the fastest passes we'll see tonight, but your consistency could get you through the finals.
Well, I hope it does, yeah. We've been going pretty good on it. Jeff Smith run a good number, but hopefully we'll do better. We'll see how we go.
So reaction times will be critical for the nitro bikes.
They are, yeah, and mine have been a little bit slow, so I'll have to get them up today.
Do you look at the other riders and make an assessment as to their abilities so you can judge yourself against them?
Yeah, I think you've got to do that, so hopefully I'll do well.
Well, Single, which one of these riders from the Eastern States don't you want to meet in the finals? Who's the big competition?
I'd say the biggest bloke here would be Jeff Smith. I don't want him, so we'll see where we go.
Single looking very relaxed, the bike sounding strong, and his qualifier ride now will determine his position in eliminations.
Ashelford, as you say, Stu, looking very confident in the saddle of the motorcycle there. The Attitude Racing bike looking pretty good indeed.
Both riders are staged, and neither decides to race against the tree. This is going to be a pro race for him. A chance to leave on a clean green, not competing with the bike at the other way. A big problem with the Kawasaki, and Single qualifies him with an 8:45, not as quick as his lap this afternoon. So it looks like he's going to be in the middle of the field, and all sorts of problems for Steve Kitchen, putting the Kawasaki away in the pits.
Coming at you, up to the break, more of Ravenswood Raceway, his bike.
Mark Bennett and Jeffrey Chasty, 2G gases, a Holden Commodore and a Holden Chimera, but both using small block Chevys. This is Mark Bennett's car. The little Chimera, a very, very tough competitor, popular with the crowd, and in fact you often see a lot of people coming into the pit area just to get a closer look at these race cars.
Jeff Chasty on screen there, stepped up from a HQ Holden Ute last season into this beautiful VR Commodore.
These guys are the crowd pleasers, the sedan racers, naturally aspirated small block Chevys. And G-Gas was going to be the class that set Superstock alight. It has certainly lived up to that reputation.
Supercomp certainly having a great season. Both these vehicles locked away. The tree is about to count down. Pair of clean greens that come out hard and fast. Bennett got the jump, but Chasty's starting to come at him. Around about a half strip distance. It looks pretty good. Chasty's around the outside and picks up the win with a 9:25 at 246 Ks.
Very close racing. Both teams have identical weights in the car, so the team with the most horsepower gets the win here. Well, when you look at a team that is building for horsepower, you have to think about Steve Flynn. The A1 performance car works very, very hard. Carries a B-gas classification, and any other B-gas in Australia runs an identical weight break.
Errol Quartermain, a former #1 national plate holder in the double D gas bracket, and he'll be very keen to put Steve Flynn out of the running here.
Well, Errol would understand better than most the pressures of being the Australian champion. He's alongside the champ now, and can he put some pressure on Flinny? The Tirana works extremely well at the start line, lacks a bit of power at the top end, and Errol is a shrewd performer.
Errol will need to get out of the hole very quick indeed. The trip counts down. Flynn's got him with a hole shot, and I think Steve Flynn will run on with it from here. Errol's starting to fight back, but no match for Steve Flynn. Flynn goes through for a convincing win, and 9:04 at 210 Ks.
Top Fuel Motorcycle is the pinnacle of the sport. Australian drag racing motorcycle competitors usually start in some of the lower classes. Modified bike is a class for sportsman racers, racing on dial-your-own handicaps, while competition in the comp bike class is on national record. Event at Ravenswood Raceway, you'll see the fastest and the quickest motorcycle action in Australia. With drag racing competitors putting as much effort into appearance as they do into performance, it's always a spectacular show. With the entry point for drag racing usually the modified street bike, this will be the first ride most people see on the track. That is the ultimate motorcycle competitor, this supercharged Kawasaki-powered dragster.
Nitro Motorcycles and Jeff Smith got a solo pass here. Be interested to see whether he goes full on Stu or whether he just takes an easy pass down the quarter mile to get a look at what the track's going to do.
Well, he knows the bike will run fast at 7:30 this afternoon. We heard in the interview that he thinks the bike will run a 7:20 tonight and a 7:0 eventually. Not a really big burnout from Jeff Smith. Generally, with him carrying it right out past the tree, that may be some indicator as to his frame of mind. Now, right now, he'll be trying to balance the importance of a fast pass as a tune-up indicator for the finals against saving the equipment, maybe putting a gentle pass in, testing the start line, and getting a bit of confidence.
Well, he starts to bring the bike forward now. The preparation in this machine is absolutely superb. Making the final adjustments, he locks the bike away. Retrieves about to count down. He rides it out nice and straight. It starts to come off the noise. We've predicted he's going to take it through with just a nice quiet run. Had a look at the start line, Stuart. Maybe that's all he wanted to do.
Well, a good strong launch, but an 11-second pass will give his competitor in the final lane choice.
What a monster burnout!
Ian Ashelford doing a fair shake himself. Only 111 cubic inches in Ashelford's motorcycle, while Brett Stevens is swinging about 140 cubes. A monstrous motorcycle in the Marlowe's lane.
Brett Stevens from Queensland on screen up alongside him. Ian Ashelford from Western Australia.
Well, Stevens' motorcycle very, very hot in the front cylinder. Look at the exhaust pipe glowing on that machine. Possibly an exhaust valve is shot. And nitro fuel will not like an exhaust valve that isn't sealing. It'll weld the thing shut. And a lot of fuel bypassing the exhaust. Lots of trouble for Jack Daniels' bike. The West Australian doing well and is in there. He's in the final with a 762.
Let's have a look at it again in slow motion. You can see the flow from Brett Stevens' bike. He leans it over a little bit too. Maybe he took a look down at that bike. And Ashelford gets through for the win.
Top bike final will be WA versus Queensland.
Coming at you from the Break Performance Direct final.
The racers are Neil Anderson from Territory Motorcycle Tyres. And Dave Richter, winner of our last event.
Oh, what a monster burnout from Richter. Absolutely superb. Anderson on screen there will be very keen to do well here.
Both riders look great on the track. Anderson with the chase, a slightly faster bike, both racing on dial-your-own handicaps. Neither racer can go quicker than the handicap they nominate, and Richter has it by a mile. He's gone too fast, breaking out by 100th of a second.
Competition bike eliminator, really fast indeed on screen there, Sean Arthur. His competitor in the other lane is Mick Sargent.
Beautiful new bike this season. Well, the old bike, a beautiful new paint job from Glenway Science. Can it bring him back? Sargent gets the lead first. National records as handicaps. No breakouts here. The fastest bike wins, and it's Sargent with an 889.
Oh, how close was that as we move into Super Comp? Jeffrey Chasty through for his finals berth. Flynn in the finals yet again.
Well, the big gasser, current holder of the national record, alongside him, this little G-Gas has run under the national record. The winner here is the toss of a coin. Both competitors have a tremendous advantage against their national competition, but both racers now need to think seriously about the racer in the other lane.
A pair of the General's best side by side for the Super Comp Trophy. Flynn making the final adjustments in the cockpit.
Frank, you'd have to say the win here will be the better reaction time. Look for the reaction time on the finish line. Watch them very, very closely. Lots of pressure. They must not red light 0.4 of a second to get away from the start line.
Boys, boys are locked away. They're ready to go racing. The tree counts down. Chased is out well. Oh, Flynn with a little bit of sideways stuff up the line. They're side by side. Stewie at a half strip distance.
Flynn with the horsepower drives away. Look at Chasty's 0.7 reaction time gave the race away.
This is the Powerhouse Performance Top Bike Final.
West Australia's single Ian Ashelford riding the little baby Harley Davidson alongside him from Queensland, the number 2 plate holder, Jeffrey Smith. And this is going to be a ride to remember. Both bikes are right in the middle of the sevens. A 7:30 qualifier this afternoon from Smith. Anything could happen on his bike. He's predicting 7-0s by the end of the season. Will we see one now? Ian Ashelford alongside Mr. Consistency, 760s and 750s. That bike will get to the end of the track.
This huge crowd on the Western Australian. They both come out hard and fast.
Single with a big wobble on the start line. The back tire has gone away. And Smith flies through with a 750 win and all the points.
Let's have a look at it in slow motion. You can see Ashelford right out near the concrete railing. Did well to ride the bike off. Meanwhile, Smith's gone through and picks up the win.
An unbelievable final from Powerhouse Performance Top Bike. Coming at you next week, we bring you Nitro Funny Car Action. Brought to you by Performance Direct. We'll see West Australians Lloyd Jones in the Southside Engine Centre Daytona and Alan Dobson in the Green Machine Nitro Fuel Cube Action.